Hey guys, it's Nick Farris from the Racing Rejects, and today I wanted to talk about my 1967 Dodge D100. So I've had the truck for about a year and a half now. My friend had this truck when we were in high school, and we would work on it during our auto mechanics class. But he lost interest in it, and I was able to barter my way into it. The engine is a 440 out of an RV. It's got a comp XE 275 HL cam. It's a Mopar specific grind. Takes advantage of the large lifters that Mopars have. It's got a Edelbrock Performer RPM intake and a Holley 750 double bumper. The transmission is a 727 load flight. It's a version of the Torque Flight that has a short tail shaft with a companion flange at the end instead of a normal slip yoke. It's got a 3000 stall, reverse manual valve body, and a B&M Pro Ratchet shifter. The truck also has a front disc brake set up from a company called Scarebird. So not long after I acquired this truck, I prepped it to go to cruising the coast, and that's when I did the front disc brake swap and did a lot of body work on the truck that needed to be done to repair some rust. And everything was coming down to the wire up until the night before we left, and we stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning finishing things up. And that's when the shifter broke. And the truck had probably 5 miles on it since I had started owning it. And we ended up having to fix the shifter, and didn't get to drive it until almost 3 o'clock that morning. So the maiden voyage for this truck was driving it 100 miles down to the coast and cruising it all day and then coming back. So about 6 months ago is when everything for this truck went downhill. I was headed back from a customer's house and decided to make a little pull across a bridge. And when I hit the pavement on the other side of the bridge, it compressed the rear suspension. And this truck has very soft leaf springs, so much so that you can't even do burnouts with the truck. It just wheel hops way too bad. So the drive shaft was something on this truck that I had looked over, and I saw it had new U-joints. There wasn't any vibration from it, and I had just called it good. If anything, I thought it was a bit too short. It's a two-piece drive shaft, and it has splines on one end, and there was a lot of splines showing. But I kind of went with it, thinking that maybe one day I'll have to lengthen it. So as it turns out, in this combination, the drive shaft is actually a little too long. Whenever I hit that pavement and simultaneously was shifting into third gear, it rotated the pinion up and compressed the suspension at the same time, making the drive shaft just as short as it could have possibly been. And it bottomed out, and it tried to shove the transmission forward and rocked the front of the engine down on the motor mounts, and just that little bit was able to shatter the bell housing in several different places. So when all this happened, apparently the drive shaft shot out from under the truck. I didn't realize what all had happened because when the drive shaft came out, it hit the floorboard and it just popped all the dust and everything off of that floor into my eyes. And so I didn't see the drive shaft whenever it came out from under it, but I kind of immediately knew what had happened. I didn't know they had bottomed out, but I knew that there wasn't a drive shaft under the truck anymore. So when my dad came to pull me home, we went back to find my drive shaft, and we found it about 15 yards off the pavement, sticking almost straight up in the ditch. The spline part of the drive shaft dug into the dirt. So we drug the truck home, and I just pulled it into this shed, and I haven't touched it since. In fact, there's still dirt on the end of the drive shaft. With all that being said, this truck is about to make a comeback. I found a transmission case on eBay, and I won it. And it should be here within a week or so. And I'll start tearing it apart. Right now, we're about a month away from cruising the coast again, so I figured why not do a repeat of last year and start prepping this truck and get it ready for cruising the coast, and hopefully I'll make it. So keep an eye out for this thing or any of our other mini projects right here on the Racing Rejects YouTube channel.